All right, so we're 7 games into his 5th season, and national people want Dan Campbell to get a lifetime contract.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And a pleasant good evening, everybody. On a Thursday, it is another edition of a Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Dery with you on a bye week Thursday, October the 23rd into Friday, October the 24th. Thank you for making us your first listen, everybody. And thank you for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. That includes on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe and check us out there, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify. If you're an everyday listener, thank you to our everydayers who are out there listening daily to the pod. Lions feeling good. It's been a great week of relaxation for this football team as they sit at 5-2. Get a bye week this week and then get set for a big showdown at home against the Minnesota Vikings coming up next week. Vikings will play tonight at home against the LA Chargers for a Thursday night affair. Locked On Lions today, sponsored by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. I play clips all the time. My guy Nathan Litke, who I like to refer to as the executive producer here on the program. Nate's a big Colin Cowherd fan. And the other day, The Herd with Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports Radio went on a little bit of a rant in a positive way about Dan Campbell and said he should coach the Lions forever. I want to play that audio coming up momentarily, and then we will comment on it. Jahmyr Gibbs effect. A lot of whispers right now. Is Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back in the NFL? Has he taken that crown, that mantle, this early in the season? He is playing at such a high level, and he is carrying this offense at times. So we do have to talk about that. We gave you the PFF grades on Tuesday from the Monday night game, but we're now at the bye week. We are 7 games into the season. Who's performing the best and the worst through the first 7 games of the Lions on offense and defense? Not just from one game, but overall. We'll give you a sneak peek on some of those PFF grades coming up momentarily here on Locked On Lions. And we will do a call of the day today. If you want to be our call of the day, it is simple. Leave us a voicemail at www.speakpipe.com/Dery, D-E-R-Y podcast page. And leave us a voicemail, and we will play the best one. We'll do a call of the day today. Lions feeling good, though. Monday night was so much fun, and they're just scratching the surface on how good they can be because of all the injuries, because of all the guys out in the secondary, because the last 2 weeks, the offense really hasn't performed up to snuff. Remember, this was an offense going into the Kansas City game that had scored 30-plus points in 4 games in a row? And then since then, against Kansas City, it didn't happen. And then this past week, just the 24 points in the win over the Bucs. But something special is happening here. And you look at the rest of the NFC, and you see a team like Philly, who's playing okay, but not at the level of the Lions. In Tampa Bay, who obviously was playing very high level before they came to Ford Field. Lions look like the class of this conference, and a team that if they can just keep the momentum going, stay healthy, keep their key guys upright and healthy, can make a run to the Super Bowl. And this is in a very tough NFC North with the Packers, the Bears who have won 4 in a row, touchdown Bears, and the Vikings as well. But Colin Cowherd the other day was talking about the Lions on Tuesday and reflecting on their win. He made a comment on Dan Campbell. It's about a 3-minute clip I want to play for you, and then I will comment. This courtesy of Fox Sports 1.
Tampa, from the first series by the Lions, got punched in the mouth. Detroit's offensive line and Jahmyr Gibbs, they had a different level of energy, and they controlled the game. And I mean, they're deep and they're talented. And Jahmyr Gibbs, remember when he was picked in the first round and everybody's like, you can't pick a running back then. I mean, Tampa's fun. They're feisty. They've got experience. They're exciting. And Baker Mayfield's a perfect fit. But that roulette style of football Does not work long-term. They had 58 total yards in the first half and were lucky to be in the game midway through the second quarter. And here's the thing about Detroit. Between their talent, Brad Holmes upstairs, a great GM, and Dan Campbell's Ted Lasso positivity. Let's be honest, Dan Campbell is Ted Lasso. If Ted Lasso benched about 375 pounds. And between that talent and Dan Campbell, they are a monster at home. They should organizationally request a Super Bowl there, cross their fingers they get in. Baker Mayfield was fighting uphill all night long. And here's the thing. The secondary for the Lions has been banged up, it seems like, for years. They lost both coordinators, and yet Baker Mayfield was the most uncomfortable he had been all season long. He looked cooked. 0 for 9 throwing the ball down the field, and that's what Baker has lived on, and coming from behind is what Baker has lived on, and they didn't like the calls they got, and Detroit's defensive line dominated Tampa up front. Lions are now number 2 in the NFL in point differential. Unbelievable, 3-0 at home, and once again, Dan Campbell's culture building, Ted Lasso with biceps energy on display on Monday Night Football, where they've won 5 straight standalone games. Here's Dan Campbell after.
We got a special group. We got a special group of coaches and players. And I just think they're competitive. They want to win. They're able to really focus on what needs to be fixed. Don't lose confidence. Just fix it. And I think that's where our guys are really special, man. We just go to work. We fix it. They've always been that way. And then the lights come on, man, and guys show up.
Yep, they did. Dan Campbell, I thought he was, I'll be honest, kind of a meathead, biting kneecaps in his first press conference in the history of calling right, calling wrong. This is probably the most wrong I've ever been. He is literally, as Baker Mayfield is a perfect fit for Tampa, Dan Campbell should be the Lions head coach forever. He is a home run. And I'm telling you, you get him at home on a fast track, nobody's touching him.
Well, there it is. Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports 1 on the Herd Show talking about Dan Campbell says he should be the Lions coach forever. So here we are, 5 years into the Campbell regime, 4.5 years, whatever you want to say. He's 44-30. He's won 2 playoff games. He's taken the team to the NFC Championship game. And we got people talking about, and Colin is a good national host and very knowledgeable and lifetime contract. Have we ever I wonder if Lion fans have thought about that? Like, how long does this go? Like, how could he be a Mike Tomlin type? I think Mike Tomlin's in his 18th year, something like that. But Campbell now in year 5, and he's 49 years old. He's 3 years younger than me. He's got a long coaching career ahead of him. But think about what he's accomplished, how people view him, how the players want to play for him, how veteran players have come here on 1-year deals to play for him in free agency, when this place used to be a dead zone for free agents. Lifetime contract. Look, we all want the ultimate prize. Mrs. Sheila Ford Hamp has said it. Brad Holmes has said it. Dan Campbell has said it. And I always love when organizations say, look, the goal is to win the Super Bowl. Right? As a Cleveland Guardians fan and somebody that knows that our Indians/Guardians have not won a World Series since 1948. It's the longest drought there is. But one thing I like about the president of baseball, Chris Antonetti, and this is high and inside, but it's my show. I can do what I want. Chris Antonetti always says, yeah, we had a good year, but our goal is to win the World Series. I like when organizations say that. The goal is to win the World Series. The goal is to win the NBA championship. The goal is to win the Stanley Cup. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. It's not to get there. And yes, if Detroit got to the Super Bowl, it'd be the most unbelievable thing in this town, and 2 weeks of hype and all of that. But Dan Campbell, that they're shooting for the stars. And the way he's coached and the way he's rallied players and the way he has his teams prepared and how they haven't lost 2 games in a row in 3 years is remarkable. So to hear somebody like Colin say, lifetime contract for this guy, When I've lived in this market, I lived in this town since 1996. I'm going on close to 30 years here in Detroit, and I love it here. When has anybody ever talked about a Lions coach in that way? It's amazing. We got to pinch ourselves that we've got this. And I like that Colin admitted I was wrong on him. I thought he was a meathead and big mistake, won't last. And now we're talking about give him a lifetime contract. That's how special this guy is. And he's lost both coordinators. And everybody went, oh no, Ben Johnson. Remember after week 1? Oh no, Aaron Glenn's gone. They've lost assistants. They've lost assistants in previous years. And all they do keep doing is keep winning. I love it. And I love that it's happening here for this fan base and this ownership group. And it's great. It's absolutely awesome. All right, coming up next, Jahmyr Gibbs effect. Is he the best running back in the NFL? We will talk about that next. You're on a Thursday, Locked On Lions. And as we told you earlier, Locked On Lions brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like tonight, Justin Herbert's passing yards, or Jordan Mason's rushing for a touchdown. You can do that, and you're in the game. Great thing about PrizePicks is I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. And the new injury reboot feature, if your player leaves the game early and doesn't return, it will not count against you. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And the program today brought to you by our friends at Gametime. NFL season is here, and honestly, there's nothing better than being inside Ford Field and being there for Lions and Vikings in a couple of weeks for Detroit and Minnesota on November the 2nd. Let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle, though. Between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout, it can get frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives you the advantage that gives it back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. All right. Zone deals. You see it on Gametime. What is it? It's the best. You pick the section. Gametime will pick you your tickets, your seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I have bought tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Gametime today. Matt Dery back with you. It is a Thursday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcasts here on a Thursday. Lions off this weekend. Back at it to face the Minnesota Vikings coming up on November the 2nd at Ford Field. A rare 1 o'clock game for the Lions. I'm going to grab my trusty schedule here. Then the Commanders in D.C., 4:25 on November 9th. And then at the Eagles for Sunday Night Football on November the 16th. So schedule does not get any easier. Minnesota is not going to be an easy out either when those teams meet down at Brush and Adams coming up next weekend. All right, Jahmyr Gibbs. You've heard some people talk about it. And I disagree. I was listening to Valeni and Rico the other day, and I heard Mike say on the ticket something about they might be phasing out David Montgomery and that he could be a cap casualty at the end of the year. We're not talking about that right now. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are a great 1-2 punch. And anytime you have a veteran player like Montgomery that's not going to bitch and complain about lack of touches, you'll take a guy like that on your team every single time. But as far as Jahmyr Gibbs goes, and Mike was right about this when I was listening the other day, he is a star. We have got a star player on this team. We got a couple of star players on this team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a star. Aiden Hutchinson is a star. So is Jahmyr Gibbs. He is incredible. And right now, when you see these lists and you see all these people talking about best at this and best at that, Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, is the best all-around running back in the NFL. He is. Now, looking at the stats right now, he is 5th in the league with 526 rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor is number 1 at nearly 700 yards. He's at 697. He's having a monster year for the Colts. Javonte Williams is 2nd from the Cowboys. Rico Dowdle from Carolina. And James Cook is 4th at 537 yards. If you just go by rushing yards, that's not how it works. All right. A guy can break off 280-yard runs. That doesn't make him the best running back in the game. To me, the 2 best running backs in the game right now, or I would say 3 best right now in the league, are Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, and Bijan Robinson of the Falcons. Something's going on with Saquon Barkley. I don't love how he looks this year. I think there was so much tread put on those tires last year. He was clearly the best running back in the league last year. But I think you could make a case for Gibbs, Taylor, and Bijan right now. CMC is right there too, Christian McCaffrey. And he does so much in the passing game, and he's unbelievable. But Jahmyr Gibbs right now, 6 touchdowns on the year rushing. Jonathan Taylor has the 10. And what Gibbs is providing you as well in the passing game, just with everything that he is doing, is incredible. And every year he just gets better. He's got 194 yards rush in the passing game this year, receiving. He's caught 26 passes. He's got a touchdown. So he's got 7 total touchdowns. But the thing about Jahmyr Gibbs that makes him so is the speed is unmatched, right? And his cutback ability, and you go back to the first play of the game Monday night, took that swing pass, cut right, went back, and then cut on a dime and went back left, started right, went left. He's so difficult to bring down, and he's tough in between the tackles too. It's not just an outside rusher. Gibbs can get dirty on the interior too. And he's a good blocker. I know Montgomery's probably a better pass blocker out there on a 2nd or 3rd and long, but man, Jahmyr Gibbs is special. That 78-yard touchdown run the other night, they said he went 22 miles an hour, and he's had 3 runs this year over 20 miles an hour. The speed, the attitude, team player. I think we might have the best running back in the league here, all around running. I get that Jonathan Taylor's done it, and from line of scrimmage and just the size and the speed, but man, Jahmyr Gibbs is something special. He has been phenomenal this year. Speaking of Gibbs, let's look at, I'm not going to go through the bottom 5. I know we do top 5 and bottom 5 after the games. Let's just talk about the top 5 players through 7 games of Pro Football Focus and their grades. When you look at the Lions right now, who's graded the best the first 7 weeks here as we head into the bye? If you want to go 5th to 1st, which I will do on offense, let's start with the 5th highest graded player on the Lions on offense, and that is David Montgomery at a 71.7 from Pro Football Focus. Jahmyr Gibbs is 2nd at 77.9. Sam Laporta, the Lions tight end, is 3rd at 78.9. And no surprise, Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 2 at 87.8. And then you've got Penei Sewell, 95.2 through the first 7 games of the season. That is absolutely special. On defense, who are your top 5 defenders right now in terms of grades? And again, because there's been so many injuries, I'm just going to tell you the top guys, and I'm going to give a majority of the games. All right. Tyrus Wheat has only played in 4 games. Nick Whiteside's only played in 1. Nowaski in 4 in terms of defense. But as far as the guys that have played in the majority of the games, Alex Anzalone, 70.7, is the 5th highest graded line. He's played in 7 games. Brian Branch has played in 6. He's at 76.7. Al-Qadim Muhammad's played in every game. His grade is at an 81.0. Second highest, Jack Campbell at 89. He's really coming into his own, same draft class and same round as Jahmyr Gibbs. And number one on defense, again, not a shocker here, Aiden Hutchinson, 92.2, including a pass rush grade of 92.6. Those are your best performers through 7 weeks from Pro Football Focus right here on Locked On Lions. Let's talk about call of the day. Let's hear from one of our everyday listeners. We will do that coming up next here on a Thursday edition, a bye week edition of Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Awards than anyone else. They got all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. We always love hearing from the listeners. And look, we wouldn't be doing the show if not for you contributing, paying attention, subscribing, whether you're on YouTube or Apple. Man, I can't say enough about our audience and the listeners that have grown with us here on Locked On Lions. We've been doing the show since 2016 and love running into folks, whether it was at Ford Field the other day or just out and about that listen to the podcast. You love the Lions, all right? And the NFL is king, and the Lions are king in this town. We got some really good Red Wings are off to an unbelievable start. Pistons are starting up this week. Tigers, won a playoff round and nearly made it to the ALDS. So, they made it to the ALDS, but they lost. Nearly made it to the ALCS. And a shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays and Dodgers in the World Series. Something different. I mean, yeah, it's always the Dodgers, but this time wishing Mark Shapiro and the Blue Jays all the luck in the world. Our man Mike K. Cook, big Locked On Lions listener, and my man in AM 800. He's up there in Windsor. He's a Tigers fan, but the Canadian folks, the folks in Windsor, the Blue Jay fans, those are good fans. I was talking to Mike about that the other day. All right, I'm filibustering. Time for a call of the day. If you want to be our call of the day, it is simple. You go to speakpipe.com/Dery podcast page. That is speakpipe.com/Dery podcast page to leave a voicemail. Something Adam did the other day. Let's take a listen.
Dery, what's up? This is Adam in Orlando, Florida. Longtime listener. Shout out to the Lions offense, but especially their defense last night for a great win. You mentioned you got to be at the game, and so I'm curious. Troy Aikman was talking during the game. There was a point where a flag was thrown on Khalif Raymond, and the crowd started chanting loudly, "Refs, you suck." And Troy started talking about how it was because the crowd felt like a face mask call was missed on Jahmyr Gibbs. He got tackled, a hand went kind of across his face mask. But when I saw that, I thought they were cheering "Refs, you suck," because the flag that was thrown on Khalif Raymond was identical to the flag that was not thrown on Juju Smith-Schuster. Do you have any take on that? Was Troy just putting lipstick on a pig for the NFL, or what was going on there? Thanks a lot. I'll look forward to your answer. Bye.
All right, Adam, thank you for the phone call and being our call of the day today. And Adam is correct. The fans in the third quarter, was it the third quarter? They were chanting "Ref, you suck" after the Raymond flag and the missed call that they didn't see on Tampa for the face mask. Let me tell you something. You had to be in the stadium to see it. They showed that missed call of the lack of face mask call, or the no call on the face mask on Gibbs like 6 times. That they just kept showing it, and the officials, and I talked about it on Monday night, John Hussey and that officiating crew were so bad. We were in that stadium for 3.5 freaking hours. I mean, it was a long game. Shout out to my guy, Matt Cunningham, again for the tickets. But like, ridiculous. But they showed on the Jumbotron 4 different angles and repeat angles of Jahmyr Gibbs getting face masked. And so that triggered the fans because they didn't show the Khalif Raymond penalty. No, that's Raymond. They didn't show that. Bonus points if you know that a movie reference that I just mentioned. But they showed the Jahmyr Gibbs missed face mask like 15 times. So yes, the ref you suck chant was for the missed call. And you know what's interesting? Like I said the other day, I don't go to a lot of the games because I like listening to the broadcast, watching the broadcast at home, hopping down here to my pod cave and doing the show here. But a lot of people were complaining to me about Joe and Troy the other night. They said they just didn't do a great job and broadcast wasn't great. I've heard a lot of people say that they spent way too much time talking about the Bucks and their 5-1 start and not talking enough about the Lions, which is odd because normally I like their broadcast. I think Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are good. I like the ESPN pregame show with SVP, Jason Kelsey, Ryan Clark, those guys. I think they do a good job. So it's good to see SVP. I didn't see him myself, but good to see him at Ford Field and in the building. And also the dude from Mumford & Sons was apparently at Ford Field. They had a concert the other night at LCA, same time as the Lions game. Can you imagine? I guess the lead singer for that group is a friend of Jared Goff. So there you go. All right, we got one more show to do. I'm going to take a little vacay early next week. Our man Jake Riepma from Locked On Squad, Locked On Lions Squad show. Check that out as well. It's going to take you through early next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'll be back Thursday for the crossover with Luke Braun, and then Friday we'll preview Lions and Vikings next week right here on Locked On Lions. Thanks for being with us, everybody, making us your first listen every single day.